What's he thinking at this stage now with fight? We're very much upon him. Obviously, he's looking at his weight and everything else. He's a bit moody, a bit cranky.
Very, very moody. I spoke to Bob Shannon yesterday. Was telling me exactly that. You know, the closer they're becoming, the closer they're getting, that Ricky is getting a little bit moody. But that's standard procedure for a guy, going into something of this magnitude, something this big. And you've got to remember, there's a lot of emotions flying around as well. Ricky's been through a lot, in the 3-year break that he's had. So this is a real big evening for him. And the MEN Arena, probably one of the best arenas in the world, and you know yourself, you've been there, when you hear the chanting and Blue Moon playing. I mean, it's going to be very emotional, not just for Ricky, but for Bob Shannon, the trainer, as well.
Well, you mentioned Bob, so let's just catch up with Bob and just get a flavour again from Bob's point of view, what's happening in the run-up to the big one.
Is it, like you say, every trainer said every time he's in great shape, and he is. He's mentally ready, physically ready. I think he would love to fight today if he could. I think that's why Senchenko's just left the building. I think if he wanted to do a head-to-head today, I think if there'd been a head-to-head, there'd have been a fight tonight. So that's how ready he is. It's up to me now as his trainer now just to, the flames are high with him. He's got to tame him down a little bit now, work on technique, work on strategies, work on technique things for the fight, because it's important now we get it right. People say, you need to change Ricky, you need to work on that and work on that. But if I did too much on Ricky Hatton, it would be Ricky Hatton. He's going to have that vulnerability about him with his hands coming down the way he uses. But I worked on angles with him, I worked on keeping his hands up. But at the same time, if it came too high, it would be Ricky Hatton. So we worked on a lot, and we've got to sit down with the DVDs, Senchenko, and look at his weaknesses. I've seen it today, certain things that we can work on. And put it together on the night. But Ricky now remember, he's 34 now, he's very experienced, he knows where he went wrong in his last couple of fights. He's a trainer himself, he preaches defence, he preaches getting his hands up to his fighters. He's got to put that in instead now in his training. I know he can take a shot, and he bounced off him, so he's people say he's still got punch resistance. Yes, he has. I've seen it. I've seen him take good shots, come back from him. I don't want to see him to take any more, but his punch resistance there. But like you say, on the night, with them small gloves on, 18,000 people getting behind him, it's going to be very emotional. And this guy, Senchenko, let's be honest, he will find his weaknesses. If Ricky Hatton's still got it and he's going to go to the next level, where he will test this. This is the biggest test of his life. He will get through it, and when he does get through it, then we can sit back and say, where are we going from here? These guys are working behind the scenes. I'll be there with him without saying, but they're all settling down. He's going to go in the ring there, hyped up, that's without saying. You're going to have all the fans with him. He wants to impress. Now, he won and impressed in the first round. I'll go out there and try and knock him out. I know he will. I've got to work on tactics where I'll just hold him back a little bit, get his eye in. The first 2 rounds are going to be a critical fight for him. But as I said, it's up to me as a trainer and up to Ricky to listen. It's very important that he don't get walk into silly shots in the first couple of rounds. Once he calms his nerves down, he can work on things. But we're all going to be nervous. Everyone's going to be nervous. But I think Ricky Hatton's got the experience now. He's too good to lose this. He's too good to throw it away. And that's what he would do if he lost it emotionally. He would throw the fight away. And he won't do that. I won't allow it.
Remember, if you've got anything to say about this, you can contact us at Sports Tonight TV on Twitter, of course. But you've looked at that, Tim.
Yeah.
Your thoughts then? That's your first glimpse, really, of Ricky, the new Ricky, if you like, after his layoff. What did you make of the sharpness in the ring? Bob Shannon's thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this teamwork. They're together trying to put together something that's really been not shattered, but he lost his last fight, and he laid off for 3 years. So they're trying to find themselves. They're trying to come back. I'm sure they wouldn't pick a fight that they couldn't beat because they got too much to lose. So,
but what I would say is Senchenko is not the easiest opponent to come back from. He's only lost the 1 fight against Malignaggi. That's another common foe for Ricky, who beat obviously Malignaggi in 11 rounds. But he's been more active than Ricky, and he's a former world champion. So they could have took an easier route. So that shows the confidence they must have in Ricky's abilities to come back and do well in sport.
We don't need reminding about your own career, of course. We know what you achieved. But the Frank Bruno night is one that, of course, people over here still talk about and will still remember. You had to go into Wembley Stadium with you know,
I watched that
the
fight this
biggest
morning.
crowd. Yeah, well, then your memories will be fresh again. But
Yeah.
you had to deal with that, which Senchenko will have to deal with it. But also Hatton will have to deal with it, because emotions, as we've alluded to, will be running high. But as the opposing guy going into the Lions' Den, what's it going to be like?
Well, you're referring to like when I went, oh, I got so much energy with all those people. That was something that I dreamed of, you know, coming over, fighting somebody in their own backyard with people screaming at me, throwing stuff at me. I don't know, it worked for me. But, you know, yeah, if it's with other fighters, it might not work that way.
Yeah.
They might get real nervous and it might not do the things that it was, you know, preparing to do in the fight. So
I think that it can work one or two ways, kind of. It's like with you drew a lot of energy from that, and it really works for you. Because the other fighters we've seen in the past come out to a reception like that for their opponent, and they just freeze. You know, we don't know what sort of animal Senchenko is. We don't know. He's not boxed away from home much. He's always boxed in his hometown. So I think he's only ever boxed away once or twice. So that's going to be a massive thing for Senchenko to deal with as well.